What would you do if the man you were destined to love was also the son of your family's greatest enemy? Alice and Liam's story is one of forbidden love, dark secrets, and choices that change everything. And once you hear it, you'll never forget it. The ballroom sparkled like it had been dressed for a dream. Chandeliers hung high above, their crystals scattering light across polished marble floors. Soft music floated through the air, violins weaving a tune that tried to make the night feel graceful. But Alice Baker felt anything except graceful. She stood near the edge of the room, fingers nervously smoothing the folds of her pale blue gown. Her parents had insisted she attend. "It's important for the Bakers to be seen," her father had said earlier that evening, adjusting his tie in the mirror. Alice had nodded but secretly wished she could stay home, curled with a book instead of drowning in small talk and false smiles. Her eyes wandered through the sea of guests, men in dark suits, women in glittering dresses, their laughter too loud, too practiced. She didn't belong here, and she knew it. Then it happened. Across the ballroom, just beyond the curve of couples moving with the music, her gaze landed on him. He stood taller than most, shoulders straight, his dark suit cut perfectly to his frame. His hair, black as ink, fell just slightly over his forehead, but what truly caught her weren't the details of his looks, it was the way her chest tightened, the strange pull in her stomach, as if something inside her recognized him before her mind did. He turned his head. Their eyes met. For a heartbeat, the room vanished. The chatter, the clinking glasses, the violins, all of it blurred into silence. It was just his gaze holding hers, deep and steady, like he'd been waiting for this exact moment. Alice's breath hitched. She didn't know him. She couldn't have known him. And yet, the corners of his lips tugged into a small, knowing smile. She felt her feet move before she even thought about it, carrying her forward through the crowd. The closer she drew, the stronger the pull grew, almost frightening in its intensity. Finally, they stood a few steps apart. "Hello," he said, his voice low, warm. "I don't believe we've met." Alice's throat went dry. She swallowed, forcing her voice to steady. "No, I don't think we have." His smile deepened. "I'm Liam." Her lips parted, ready to answer, "Alice. My name is Alice." But before she could speak, a firm hand landed on her shoulder. "Alice." She turned. Her father's face was pale, jaw tight, eyes darting past her toward Liam. "Come with me," he said sharply. "But now." There was no room for argument in his tone. Alice glanced back at Liam, who looked just as startled. But something else flashed in his eyes too, a flicker of recognition, maybe even regret. As her father pulled her away through the crowd, Alice managed to catch one last glimpse of Liam. He hadn't moved, but his gaze followed her until she disappeared behind the column-lined doorway. Her father's grip tightened as they walked quickly down the hall. "Stay away from him," he hissed. Alice frowned. "From who?" "You know who." "Liam," she whispered, the name tasting strange on her tongue, powerful, heavy. Her father stopped walking, turning to face her fully. His expression was colder than she'd ever seen it. "The Johnsons are not people you speak to. Do you understand me?" Confusion knotted in her chest. "Why? I don't even know him." "That's the point. You don't need to. Nothing good has ever come from their family, Alice. Stay away." And with that, he ended the conversation, leaving her with more questions than answers. That night, when she finally returned home and shut the door to her bedroom, Alice lay awake in the dark. She tried to tell herself it was just chance, just a fleeting moment with a stranger. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw Liam's gaze, felt that pull again, the kind that whispered it wasn't chance at all. 2 weeks later, Alice still hadn't forgotten. She had tried, burying herself in her books, volunteering at the library, even distracting herself with friends. But in every quiet moment, her mind returned to that ballroom, to the way her chest had tightened when Liam looked at her. And so, one rainy evening, she found herself wandering into the little bookstore cafe on the corner of Willow Street. It was nearly empty, the rain keeping most people at home. She ordered her usual, tea with honey, and carried her book toward the back table. But then she froze. Sitting at a small round table near the window was him. Liam. He was leaning forward, a book open in front of him, steam rising from the untouched cup of coffee at his side. His hair was slightly damp from the rain, a few strands curling against his forehead. He looked different here, less polished than at the gala, more real. Alice's heart thudded. She considered turning around, slipping out before he noticed. But as if drawn by some invisible thread, his head lifted. Their eyes met again. That same pull, stronger now. Liam smiled softly. Alice. Her breath caught. You remember me? Of course. He gestured to the empty chair across from him. Sit with me. Every warning her father had given echoed in her head. Stay away from him. Nothing good comes from his family. But her feet carried her forward anyway. She sat down. For a moment, they just looked at each other, the silence oddly comfortable. Finally, Liam spoke. I wasn't sure if I'd ever see you again. Neither was I, Alice admitted, her voice quiet. Your father doesn't want you near me, does he? The directness startled her. How did you? I saw the way he pulled you away that night. I know the Bakers don't think highly of my family. Alice hesitated. Why is that? A shadow flickered in his eyes. He leaned back, exhaling slowly. It's a long, ugly story. One I'm not proud to be connected to. Tell me, she pressed, though her heart beat faster. He shook his head. If you knew what my family has done, you'd run. The weight in his words unsettled her. And yet, her curiosity grew stronger. Then why don't you run from them? His jaw tightened, and he glanced out the rain-speckled window. Because family isn't something you can just walk away from. Not easily. Alice lowered her eyes, fiddling with the rim of her teacup. She understood more than she cared to admit. For a moment, neither spoke. The silence filled with the soft patter of rain. Then Liam leaned forward again, his tone softer. But you're not here to hear about my family's sins. Tell me about you. What do you love? What makes you smile? The question disarmed her. No one ever asked her things like that. Not really. I love books, she said quietly. Stories. They make me feel like there's more to the world than what's in front of me. He smiled faintly. I feel the same way. Except for me, it's music. Alice tilted her head. Music. He nodded. Piano. I've played since I was a child. It's the only thing that feels like mine, not something my family controls. Something softened in her chest. For the first time, she saw past the shadows in his eyes to the person beneath. Someone who wanted more than the cage of his family's name. They spoke for hours, the rain falling steadily outside. They shared small details, favorite books, childhood dreams, the little things that made them feel alive. And though they had just met, Alice felt like she'd known Liam for years. Finally, as the cafe lights dimmed and the barista announced closing time, Alice rose reluctantly. I should go, she said. Me too, Liam replied, standing with her. They stepped outside together, the air cool and damp with rain. For a moment, neither moved. Will I see you again? Liam asked, his eyes searching hers. Every warning her father had given echoed again in her mind. But her heart, traitorous and loud, answered for her. Yes. His smile was soft, almost relieved. Good. As they parted ways, Alice knew nothing would ever be the same. She had stepped across a line her family had drawn in stone. But she couldn't bring herself to regret it. Because deep down, she already knew. Liam Johnson wasn't just someone she had met by chance. He was the man she was destined to love. The morning after that rainy evening with Liam, Alice woke with a strange heaviness in her chest. It wasn't guilt, at least, not exactly. It was the weight of knowing she had crossed a line her father had drawn so sharply. She sat by her bedroom window, the the soft dawn light spilling across her desk, her tea steaming faintly beside her. In her lap rested her Uncle Henry's old leather-bound journal. It had been left behind after his disappearance years ago, tucked away in one of the boxes her mother never touched. Alice had found it by accident, digging for old books one summer. But now, for the first time, she truly looked at it. She ran her fingers across the worn cover, then opened it. The first pages were harmless, lists of work meetings, musings about the family's finances. But halfway through, the entries darkened. The Johnsons cannot be trusted. Deals made with them always end in ruin. Richard Johnson, Lucas's father, is a liar. He hides too much behind his charm. There are whispers about missing funds and missing people. Alice shivered. She closed the journal quickly, heart pounding. Her father had always been vague about Uncle Henry's disappearance. He had called it an unfortunate accident, nothing more. But the entries told a different story, one filled with fear. Her thoughts were interrupted by the vibration of her phone. A message blinked across the screen. Unknown number. The Johnsons don't just ruin people. They erase them. Alice's breath caught. She looked around her empty room, a chill creeping up her spine. Who would send her that? Her first instinct was to call Liam. But no, she stopped herself. She didn't even know if she could trust him yet. She barely knew him at all. And yet, she wanted to believe him. Later that day, she couldn't resist sneaking back into the dusty family study. Old files were stacked on the shelves, records of their businesses, letters, photographs. She flipped through an old photo album. Her hand froze. There, in a faded photograph, was her Uncle Henry. Smiling, slung casually around another man. A man she recognized immediately. Lucas Johnson. Liam's father. The room tilted. The two men had once been close. But if they were friends, why had everything turned so dark between the families? Why had Henry disappeared? Alice slipped the photo into her bag, her pulse racing. She had to know more. That evening, she met Liam again. They had agreed to see each other at the same bookstore cafe. But tonight, she wasn't just a girl enchanted by him, she was a girl carrying dangerous questions. He was already waiting when she arrived, his smile softening as he saw her. You came. Alice managed a smile. Of course. They ordered drinks, then sat in their usual corner. For a while, they talked about safe things, books, music, little stories from their lives. But Alice couldn't hold back the weight inside her. Finally, she leaned forward, her voice quiet but sharp. What do you know about my Uncle Henry? Liam blinked, taken aback. Your uncle? Yes. He disappeared years ago. Do you know anything about it? His brows furrowed. No. Why would I? Because I found this. She slid the faded photo across the table. Henry and Lucas. Side by side. Liam stared at it. His jaw clenched. Where did you get this? Does it matter? Just tell me, did your father have something to do with my uncle's disappearance? The cafe noise seemed to fade. Liam's hand gripped the edge of the table. My father, he stopped, shaking his head. Alice, I don't know. He never told me anything about Henry Baker. But I'm not surprised he kept secrets. He keeps them from everyone. Alice searched his face for lies but saw only frustration, maybe even shame. You don't understand, Liam said, his voice low. My family's past is full of things that can't be explained easily. If you dig too deep, you'll get hurt. Alice swallowed hard. So you admit it, then? Something happened. He rubbed his temple. I'm admitting that my father is not the man he pretends to be. But I swear to you, Alice, I've had no part in it. Her heart ached with the desire to believe him. But fear whispered otherwise. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed again. She glanced down. Unknown number. Stop digging. Or you'll end up like him. Alice's stomach dropped. She quickly turned the screen away so Liam wouldn't see. The following week was a blur of secrets and stolen moments. Alice and Liam continued to meet in quiet corners of the city, away from the sharp eyes of their families. Each time they saw each other, the pull between them grew stronger. And each time, Alice's father's warning, "Stay away from the Johnsons," sounded fainter, like an echo she could no longer obey. One evening, they walked together along the riverbank. The city lights shimmered across the water, the night air cool and sweet. "I don't understand this," Alice confessed, her voice trembling slightly. "We've only just met, but it feels like I've known you forever." Liam smiled faintly, his eyes soft on her. "I've felt it too. Like fate, maybe." She laughed nervously. "Do you believe in fate?" His gaze lingered on her, intense and steady. "I didn't. Not until you." Her heart raced. For a moment, the world seemed to still. But then the darker thoughts returned. She stopped walking, turning to him. "Liam, tell me honestly. Do you believe your father, Lucas, had something to do with my family's pain?" His jaw tightened. He looked away, struggling. "I don't want to lie to you. My father is ruthless. He does things for power that I don't agree with. But I can't give you proof. I can't even say how much he's done. All I know is that I want to be nothing like him." Alice studied him, her chest tightening. "And if being with me means losing him? Losing everything he promised you?" His eyes returned to hers, fierce and unwavering. "Then I'll lose it. You're worth more than all of it." Her breath caught at the intensity in his voice. And before she could stop herself, she leaned forward. His lips met hers, warm, certain, desperate. The kiss was fire and surrender, a release of everything they had been holding back. When they finally pulled apart, Alice's cheeks burned, her heart tumbling wildly. But reality crashed back like cold water. Her phone buzzed again. Another message. "Stop this. Or pay the price." Alice froze. Her hands trembled as she tucked the phone away, not wanting Liam to see. They sat in silence for a while, listening to the quiet rush of the river. Then Liam spoke, his tone low. "I need to tell you something." She turned to him. "My father expects me to take over the Johnson name one day. The businesses. The empire. But I don't want it. I've never wanted it. All I want is to break free from the things he's built." Alice swallowed hard. "Then why don't you? Why not just walk away?" He gave a bitter laugh. "Because it's not that simple. Walking away means losing everything I've ever known. It means war with my own blood." She touched his hand gently. "Maybe some things are worth losing." Their eyes met again, and for a brief moment, the world seemed kind. But then, as Alice walked home that night, the shadows felt heavier. She sensed someone following her, their footsteps echoing just a beat too close. Panic surged in her chest. She turned quickly, heart racing. The street was empty. But when she reached her door, a folded note waited on the mat. Her hands shook as she opened it. "Stop digging. Stop seeing him. Or you'll end up like your uncle." Her breath caught. The paper slipped from her fingers, fluttering to the floor. The danger wasn't just in her family's history anymore. It was here. Now. And it was watching her every move. The night after Alice's confrontation with her mother felt heavier than any she had ever lived through. She lay awake, her mind racing with the truth that had been kept from her all her life. Her father hadn't just left, he had been betrayed. The Johnsons weren't just family friends turned enemies, they were at the very heart of her pain. But what broke her most was Liam. Liam Johnson. The man she felt tied to in ways she couldn't explain. The man whose eyes she saw every time she closed her own. "Why you?" she whispered into the darkness of her room, hugging her pillow. "Why does it have to be you?" The next morning, she dragged herself out of bed. She tried convincing herself to stay away from him, but her heart pulled her in the opposite direction. And fate didn't waste time throwing them back together. Alice was walking to the library after class when she heard a familiar voice behind her. Alice! Her heart skipped before she even turned around. Liam was jogging toward her, his messy brown hair falling into his eyes. He looked out of breath, as though he had run across campus just to catch her. She froze. Alice, wait, why are you avoiding me? His voice was soft, but there was an edge of hurt in it. I'm not, she lied, hugging her books to her chest like a shield. Yes, you are. Yesterday you wouldn't even look at me. He took a step closer. Did I do something wrong? Alice's lips trembled. No, Liam. You didn't do anything. Then why? His brows furrowed, his green eyes locking on hers. Because I feel like, I don't know, like you're slipping away, and I don't even know why. Her chest ached. She wanted to tell him everything, that their families were tied together by lies, betrayal, and blood. But how could she, when she herself was still piecing together the truth? Maybe we shouldn't be this close, she said finally, her voice breaking. Liam's jaw tightened. Why not? Because some things can't be fixed. He reached out, his hand brushing against hers. The touch sent electricity through her veins, and she snatched her hand back like it burned. Alice, his voice dropped, almost a whisper. Please don't do this. I don't know what's going on, but I know one thing, I don't want to lose you. Her eyes filled with tears. It's not about what you want, Liam, or what I want. It's about the truth. And the truth doesn't care about us. He stared at her, confusion and frustration written all over his face. Then tell me the truth. Whatever it is, tell me. But she couldn't. Not yet. Instead, she turned and walked away, each step feeling like she was tearing her own heart out. That night, Alice found herself back in her mother's study. The old wooden chest was still in the corner, the one her mother had refused to let her touch as a child. But now, she had to know. With trembling hands, she opened it. Inside were stacks of old letters, some yellowed with age, others sealed in envelopes with faded ink. Her father's handwriting. Her heart pounded as she read the first one. My dearest Evelyn, they've taken everything from me. Richard Whitmore promised he would stand by me, but instead, he sold me out. And Lucas. God, how could he? He was like a brother. The Johnsons will pay for what they've done. If not in this life, then the next. Alice's throat tightened. She read another, then another. Each one painted the same picture: betrayal, rage, heartbreak. Her father had lost everything because of Lucas Johnson, Liam's father. Tears dripped onto the paper as the reality hit her harder than before. This wasn't just about family history. This was a wound that still bled, and she was standing right in the middle of it. She clutched one of the letters to her chest. How am I supposed to love him when his family destroyed mine? And yet, she knew deep down, her heart didn't care about the past. Her heart only cared about Liam. The next week was torture. Alice tried to keep her distance, but Liam didn't give up. He sent her texts she didn't answer. He waited for her after class. He even showed up at the cafe where she worked part-time, just to see her smile. Finally, one evening, he cornered her outside the cafe as she was leaving. Alice, this has to stop. She looked at him nervously. What do you mean? This thing between us, you pretending like it's not there. His voice shook with emotion. I can't stand it anymore. She stared at the ground, her hands trembling. You don't understand. Then make me understand. His voice rose, and she flinched. Realizing it, he softened his tone. Please, Alice, don't shut me out. Her chest heaved with the weight of everything she had been holding back. Finally, the dam broke. It's your family, Liam, she blurted out, her voice cracking. It's your father, your uncle. They destroyed my father's life. Do you understand now? That's why I can't, why we can't. Liam froze. His face went pale, and for a moment, he looked like the ground had disappeared beneath him. "What?" he whispered. Alice's tears spilled freely now. "Your family, they're the reason my father is gone. He lost everything because of them. And now you're the one person I shouldn't be near. But I can't stop wanting to be near you. Don't you see how impossible this is?" Liam's lips parted, but no words came out. His green eyes shimmered with hurt, confusion, and disbelief. "My dad," he finally said, his voice trembling. "My dad would never. He's not that kind of man." Alice shook her head, gripping her bag tightly. "You don't know the whole story. Neither of us does. But I've seen the letters. I've read my father's words." For a long moment, Liam said nothing. He just stared at her like she had torn his heart out. Then he whispered, "So you're saying everything between us?" She cut him off, her voice breaking. "Was a mistake." The lie tasted like poison, but it was the only way she could force herself to turn around and walk away. But Liam wasn't done. That night, he stormed into his father's study at home, slamming the door behind him. Lucas Johnson looked up from his desk, startled. "Liam, what's going on?" "You tell me," Liam snapped. His fists were clenched, his chest heaving. "What did you do to Alice's family?" Lucas's face darkened. "Alice Baker." "Yes, Alice Baker." Liam shouted. "She says you ruined her father's life. That you and Richard Whitmore betrayed him. Is it true?" Lucas leaned back in his chair, his expression unreadable. "Liam, you shouldn't be talking to that girl." "That's not an answer." Silence hung in the room like a noose. Finally, Lucas said, "Some things are better left buried." Liam's stomach dropped. "So it's true." Lucas's jaw tightened. "You don't understand the kind of man her father was." "I don't care." Liam shouted, his voice cracking. "All I know is that I love her, and whatever you did, it's destroying us." Lucas stood abruptly, slamming his fist on the desk. "Then let it destroy you. Because that girl will never belong in this family." The words hit Liam like a physical blow. He stormed out, his mind spinning. For the first time in his life, he realized his father wasn't the man he thought he was. And for the first time, he knew he would fight for Alice, no matter the cost. Alice stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror, gripping the sink so tightly her knuckles turned white. Her eyes were swollen from crying, her lips trembling. The truth she had learned from her mother 2 nights ago kept echoing in her mind like a cruel song she couldn't escape. "You weren't born a baker, Alice. We adopted you after your real parents disappeared. We never told you because we wanted to protect you. But the Johnsons, they were involved in it somehow." Her stomach twisted every time she replayed it. She wasn't even who she thought she was. Her entire life had been a carefully constructed lie. And in the middle of it all was Liam Johnson, the one person she wanted to run to, yet the one person tied most deeply to the darkness. She shut her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. Who am I? Who am I really? Later that day, Alice wandered through the park, needing air, needing space. The world looked the same, children laughing on swings, couples walking hand in hand, but nothing felt the same. And then she saw him. Liam. He was standing beneath a tall oak tree, his hands shoved into his pockets, his eyes searching the crowd. When his gaze found hers, it softened instantly. "Alice," he breathed as she approached. She stopped a few feet away, hugging her arms around herself. "You shouldn't be here." "Maybe not," he admitted, "but I had to see you. I can't stand this distance between us." Her eyes filled with tears. "You don't understand, Liam. It's not just our families, it's me. I don't even know who I am anymore." His brows furrowed. "What do you mean?" "My parents aren't my real parents," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I was adopted. My real parents, they disappeared. And I think, Her throat tightened. I think your family had something to do with it. Liam's face went pale. He stepped closer, shaking his head. No. No, Alice, that can't be true. My family, they're awful in some ways, yes. But they wouldn't. Wouldn't they? She cut in, her voice sharp with pain. Your father's name is tangled in every dark secret I've uncovered. My uncle, my parents, my life, everything points back to him. Liam reached for her hands, but she pulled away. Alice, please. I don't know what my father's done. But I swear to you, I would never hurt you. And I don't care what blood runs in our veins or what names we carry. I just want you. Her chest ached. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to run into his arms and forget everything else. But the fear was louder. Wanting each other doesn't change the truth, she whispered. Liam's eyes burned with desperation. Then let's find the truth together. Don't push me away. Let me help you. Alice stared at him, torn in two. Her head screamed no. Her heart screamed yes. Before she could answer, the sound of screeching tires filled the air. A black car came speeding down the road beside the park. Alice barely had time to gasp before it swerved toward the path where she stood. Alice! Liam lunged forward, grabbing her and pulling her to the ground just as the car sped past, missing her by inches. Her heart pounded in her ears, her breath ragged. Liam's arms were around her, his body shielding hers. Are you okay? He asked frantically, searching her face. She nodded shakily, too stunned to speak. The car disappeared around the corner. Whoever had been inside hadn't stopped. Alice clung to Liam, trembling. For the first time, the danger wasn't just whispers or old letters. It was real. And it wanted her gone. That night, Alice lay in bed replaying the moment over and over. If Liam hadn't been there, she might not be alive. The text messages, the threats, the notes, they weren't empty. Someone was watching her. Someone was determined to silence her. And though she wanted to run from Liam, the truth was inescapable. She needed him now more than ever. The next day, Alice returned home shaken. Her mother was waiting in the living room, worry etched into her face. You're pale, her mother said. What happened? Alice hesitated, then sat down. Someone tried to run me down yesterday. Her mother gasped, covering her mouth. My God! Alice's eyes narrowed. You know something about this, don't you? Her mother's face went white. Alice, You've been hiding things from me my whole life. Alice's voice rose, trembling with anger and grief. About my real parents, about the Bakers, about everything. Tell me the truth. Tears welled in her mother's eyes. I did it to protect you. Protect me from what? Alice demanded. Her mother looked away. From the Johnsons. Alice's chest tightened. So it's true. They were involved. Her mother's silence was the only answer she needed. Alice rose to her feet, shaking. You lied to me. All this time, you lied. Her mother reached out desperately. Alice, please. But Alice pulled away, storming up the stairs to her room. Meanwhile, across town, Liam sat in his father's study once again. Lucas Johnson was seated behind his desk, calmly reading the newspaper as though nothing in the world was wrong. Liam's fists clenched. You know someone tried to kill Alice yesterday. Lucas didn't look up. So. Liam's voice cracked with rage. She could have died. Lucas set the paper down, his expression hard. That girl is dangerous, Liam. She's digging into things she shouldn't. If she doesn't stop, it will only get worse. Liam's blood ran cold. It was you. His father didn't answer, which was answer enough. You tried to kill her, Liam whispered, horror flooding him. Your own sons. He stopped, his throat tight. Lucas's eyes darkened. She is a Baker. And if you don't cut ties with her now, you'll regret it. Liam's heart shattered. His father wasn't just ruthless. He was merciless. For the first time in his life, Liam saw the man behind the mask clearly. And he hated him. That evening, Liam found Alice waiting for him at the cafe. She looked exhausted, her eyes swollen from crying, but when she saw him, her face softened. "You saved my life," she whispered. He shook his head. "I don't care about that. What matters is who tried to hurt you. Alice, it was my father." Her breath caught. "What?" "I confronted him. He didn't admit it outright, but he didn't deny it either. He sees you as a threat. He'll do anything to keep us apart." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "Then he won't stop." Liam leaned forward, taking her hands in his. "Then let him try. I'm not afraid of him anymore. I'm not my father. I will fight him if I have to. I won't lose you, Alice." Her chest ached, torn between terror and love. "But fighting him means destroying everything you've ever known." His voice was steady. "Then let it burn. I only want you." Alice's tears fell freely as she clung to him. For the first time, she believed him completely. But as she leaned against his chest, she couldn't shake the fear gnawing inside her. Because sometimes, love wasn't enough to fight monsters. Sometimes, the monsters lived in your own family. Alice couldn't sleep that night. Her heart raced every time she thought of Liam's words at the cafe. "Then let it burn. I only want you." The weight of those words was crushing. Liam was ready to fight his own father for her. And she loved him for it. But deep down, she knew what it meant. Fighting Lucas Johnson wasn't just defying a parent. It was walking into war. She sat at her desk, reading through her father's old letters again. The words blurred as her tears fell. The Johnsons will pay for what they've done. If not in this life, then the next. Her father had wanted vengeance. And here she was, caught between love and the blood feud that had destroyed both their families. The sound of pebbles tapping her window startled her. She rushed to open it. "Liam," she whispered. He stood in the garden below, shadows hiding his face. "Come with me." Moments later, she slipped outside, her heart pounding as he took her hand and pulled her into the night. "Where are we going?" she whispered as they walked quickly down the quiet street. "Somewhere no one can listen," he said. "Somewhere we can be us without all of this." They ended up at the old train station on the edge of town, long abandoned, its walls covered in faded graffiti. The night was still, broken only by the chirp of crickets. Liam turned to her, his hands trembling as he reached for hers. "I need you to hear me," he said, his voice shaking. "No matter what happens, I want you to know this. I love you, Alice. And I'm not going to let my father or anyone else take that from us." Alice's throat tightened. "Liam, you don't understand. If we fight this, if we stay together, we'll destroy everything. My family, your family, they'll never forgive us." He shook his head. "Then let them hate us. Let them burn. As long as I have you, I don't care." Tears streamed down her face. "But what if we don't survive it? Then at least we'll go down fighting together." His lips pressed against hers, desperate and tender at once. For a moment, the world disappeared, the lies, the danger, the past. It was just them. But the moment shattered when footsteps echoed in the station. Alice froze, pulling back. Liam spun around. Out of the shadows stepped Lucas Johnson. His presence was like ice, his expression unreadable. "So it's true," Lucas said coldly. "My son has chosen a baker." Liam stepped in front of Alice, his jaw tight. "She's not just a baker. She's Alice. And I love her." Lucas's eyes narrowed. "Love won't save you, boy. It will destroy you." Alice's stomach twisted. "You tried to kill me," she whispered. Lucas didn't flinch. "And I'll try again, if that's what it takes to protect this family. Protect it. Liam's voice cracked with fury. From what? From the truth. Lucas's face darkened. From weakness. From betrayal. That girl's blood is poison, and I won't let you drown in it. Alice's heart pounded as she clung to Liam's arm. She had never felt so small, so powerless. Dad, Liam said, his voice steady now. If you hurt her, you lose me. Forever. Silence hung heavy in the air. Lucas's eyes flickered between his son and Alice. For the first time, there was something almost human in his gaze. Fear. You're making a mistake, Lucas said finally, his voice low. No, Liam replied. The mistake was thinking you could control me. Lucas's lips curled into a cold smile. Then so be it. He turned and walked away, his footsteps echoing through the empty station. But his words lingered like a curse. Alice's knees gave out, and she sank to the ground, shaking. Liam, what have we done? He knelt beside her, pulling her into his arms. We chose each other. And no matter what happens, I'll never regret that. But even as he said it, Alice felt a sinking in her chest. Because she knew Lucas Johnson wasn't done. And the war between love and blood had only just begun. The storm came faster than either of them expected. The next few days blurred into chaos. Alice's mother begged her to stay away from Liam. Lucas grew more aggressive, sending threats that shook Liam to his core. And everywhere they turned, someone was watching. But they refused to stop seeing each other. Each stolen moment, each touch, each kiss, became both a comfort and a countdown. Until the night it all came to an end. Alice received a note slipped under her door. Meet me at the bridge. Midnight. Come alone. Her stomach twisted. She knew the handwriting. Lucas Johnson. For a moment, she wanted to ignore it. But deep down, she knew this was the end she couldn't avoid. She went. The bridge stretched across the river, lit only by the pale glow of the moon. Lucas stood waiting, his silhouette sharp against the night. You came, he said flatly. Alice swallowed hard. If this is about me and Liam. This is about ending it before it destroys him. His voice was cold, but steady. You want him safe? Then you'll leave. Her chest ached. And if I don't? Lucas's eyes glinted. Then you'll pay the price. And so will he. Before she could answer, a familiar voice rang out. Dad! Liam ran onto the bridge, his chest heaving. His eyes widened as he saw them. Alice, what are you doing here? She shouldn't have come, Lucas snapped. You brought her here. Liam shot back, stepping between them. If you want to hurt her, you'll have to go through me. Lucas's face hardened. Don't test me, boy. Liam's voice shook with emotion. You've taken everything from me. My trust, my respect, my family. But you will not take her. Alice's tears blurred her vision. She wanted to scream, to beg them to stop. But before she could, Lucas lunged. A struggle broke out, raw and violent, father against son. Liam shoved Lucas back, but Lucas was strong, his rage giving him power. Alice screamed as they fought, their shadows locked against the moonlight. Then it happened. Lucas pulled a knife from his coat. Alice gasped. Liam! In the chaos, Liam managed to twist his father's arm, the blade clattering to the ground. For a moment, it seemed like he had won. But Lucas stumbled forward, his momentum carrying him too far. His foot slipped on the edge of the bridge. Alice's scream tore through the night as Lucas fell into the dark river below. The splash echoed, then silence. Liam stood frozen, his chest heaving. His hands shook as he stared at the water where his father had disappeared. Oh my God, Alice whispered, rushing to him. Liam! I didn't mean to, he said, his voice hollow. I didn't mean to. Alice clutched him, tears streaming down her face. I know. I know. But even as she held him, she knew their lives would never be the same. Days later, Lucas's body was never found. Some said he drowned. Others whispered he ran away. But the truth didn't matter. His shadow lingered over them all the same. Alice and Liam met one last time at the old train station. I can't stay, Alice whispered, her voice breaking. It's too dangerous now. For both of us. Liam's eyes shimmered with pain. So what? That's it. After everything. She cupped his face, her tears falling onto his skin. I love you, Liam. But love doesn't erase the blood between us. Maybe one day, but not today. His lips trembled. I don't want one day. I want you now. I know, she whispered. But sometimes, love means letting go. He pulled her into his arms, holding her like he'd never let go. Their kiss was desperate, heartbreaking, endless. When they finally pulled apart, Alice whispered, You'll always be the man I was destined to love. And then she walked away, leaving him standing in the ruins of everything they had fought for. The story didn't end with a wedding or a happy forever. It ended with two broken hearts, still beating for each other, but torn apart by the ghosts of their families. And maybe that was the cruelest twist of all. That destiny could bring two souls together, but never promise they would stay. So, what do you think? Was Alice right to walk away, or should she and Liam have fought harder for their love? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear your take. And if you want more stories full of twists, secrets, and heartbreak, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next one. Because sometimes, the most powerful stories are the ones that break our hearts.